What if everything you've been told about living to 100 is backward? It's not about extreme diets, miracle supplements, or starving your body into submission. The real secret is far quieter and far more powerful. Right now, inside you, your body is deciding whether to repair itself or slowly break down. And those decisions are being shaped by what you eat every single day. Not once in a while. Not when you feel motivated. Daily. Ordinary foods are sending signals to your genes, your immune system, and your blood vessels, determining how fast you age. Ignore this, and aging accelerates. Understand it, and longevity becomes a biological process you can influence starting today. What if the secret to living to 100 isn't hidden in some rare superfood from a remote island, or locked inside an expensive supplement, but sitting quietly on your plate every single day, overlooked, underestimated, and misunderstood? Most people think longevity is about avoiding death, but the real science shows it's about actively feeding life at the cellular level. Inside your body right now, trillions of cells are making decisions every moment to repair, to regenerate, or to slowly break down. Those decisions are influenced not by fate, but by what you eat consistently, not occasionally, not perfectly, consistently. Your body is not passive. It has built-in defense systems designed to keep you healthy for decades, longer than most people realize. You have an immune system trained to detect and destroy threats. You have DNA repair mechanisms that fix damage every day. You have blood vessels that can grow new pathways, improving circulation even as you age. You even have anti-cancer defenses that work silently long before disease ever shows up on a scan. The question is not whether these systems exist. The question is whether you are feeding them or starving them. Most longevity advice focuses on restriction, eat less, cut everything out, fear food. But the emerging science of healthy aging points in a very different direction. It's not about deprivation, it's about activation. Certain everyday foods send powerful biological signals that turn on your body's longevity switches. They reduce chronic inflammation, support immune balance, protect stem cells, and improve the health of your gut microbiome, which plays a central role in how fast or slow you age. Here's the surprising part. These foods are not exotic. They're not expensive. And they're often dismissed as too simple to matter. But when scientists study populations around the world where people routinely live into their 90 seconds and beyond with sharp minds and strong bodies, patterns emerge. These individuals aren't chasing trends. They are eating specific categories of foods daily that quietly nourish their biology from the inside out. Every time you eat, you're either creating an internal environment that accelerates aging or one that supports long-term resilience. Sugar spikes, ultra-processed foods, and refined oils create oxidative stress and inflammation, which slowly erode your defenses. But whole, plant-forward foods rich in natural compounds do the opposite. They communicate with your genes. They strengthen your blood vessels. They help immune cells function with precision instead of overreacting. One of the most misunderstood ideas about aging is that it's inevitable and uncontrollable. In reality, aging is highly responsive to lifestyle signals, especially nutrition. Studies now show that what you eat can influence telomere length, mitochondrial efficiency, and immune surveillance. These are not abstract concepts. They determine how well your organs function, how quickly wounds heal, how strong your muscles remain, and how clearly your brain thinks as the years pass. And longevity is not just about adding years to life. It's about adding life to years. Living to 100 means nothing if those years are dominated by fatigue, medications, and limitations. The goal is vitality. The goal is independence. The goal is waking up decades from now with energy, clarity, and purpose. That starts with daily choices that may seem small but compound powerfully over time. What's fascinating is that your body responds remarkably quickly when you start feeding it correctly. Within days, inflammation markers can drop, blood vessel function can improve, gut bacteria can shift toward a healthier balance. Over weeks and months, These changes translate into stronger immunity, better metabolic health, and reduced risk of chronic disease. Over years, they shape how you age. The foods that support this process don't work like drugs. They don't force your body into submission. They collaborate with it. They provide information. They act as biological instructions that say, repair here, protect there, grow stronger, stay balanced. When eaten every day, they become part of your internal operating system. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for a diagnosis before changing how they eat. But the real power of food is preventative. It works best long before symptoms appear. It's not dramatic, it's quiet, it's steady. And that's exactly why it's so effective. Living to 100 is not about chasing immortality. It's about respecting the intelligence of your body and giving it the raw materials it needs to do what it was designed to do. Every meal is a conversation with your biology. The question is whether that conversation is supporting long life or slowly cutting it short. Longevity is not something that suddenly appears at the end of life. It is built quietly, every day through the activation of the body's natural defense and repair systems. Inside the human body exists an extraordinary network designed to protect, heal, and regenerate itself continuously. This system is always on, always working, whether you are aware of it or not. The immune system scans for abnormal cells, harmful pathogens, and internal damage. DNA repair enzymes fix genetic mistakes that occur naturally. During cell division, blood vessels adapt by growing new branches to improve circulation. Stem cells stand ready to replace worn-out tissue. These mechanisms are not rare or fragile. They are fundamental to human survival. What determines how well they function over decades is the signals they receive from daily habits, especially food. Every bite of food carries biological information. Food is not just calories or fuel. It is instruction. Certain foods activate protective pathways that reduce inflammation, enhance immune accuracy, and promote cellular repair. Other foods overwhelm these systems, forcing the body into a constant state of damage control. When this happens day after day, year after year, the balance shifts from repair to breakdown. Aging accelerates not because the body stops working, but because it is constantly distracted by avoidable stressors. One of the most powerful longevity mechanisms is immune balance. A healthy immune system does not simply attack, it regulates. It knows when to respond aggressively and when to remain calm. Poor dietary patterns create chronic low-grade inflammation, a state where the immune system is always slightly activated. This silent inflammation damages tissues, stiffens blood vessels, and interferes with insulin signaling. Foods rich in natural antioxidants, phytonutrients, and healthy fats help calm this inflammatory noise, allowing the immune system to redirect its energy towards surveillance and repair. Another critical system is DNA protection. Every day, your DNA is damaged by normal metabolism, environmental exposure, and oxidative stress. The body has built-in repair crews that fix these errors before they become serious problems. Certain nutrients support these repair pathways, improving accuracy and efficiency. When the diet lacks these supportive compounds, damage accumulates faster than it can be repaired, increasing the risk of age-related decline. Blood vessel health is also central to longevity. Aging is closely linked to the health of the circulatory system. As blood vessels lose flexibility and become inflamed, oxygen and nutrients struggle to reach tissues efficiently. This affects every organ, including the brain. Foods that support endothelial function help maintain smooth blood flow, reduce clotting risk, and encourage the growth of new microvessels. This process keeps tissues nourished and resilient even as the years pass. Stem cells play a quieter but equally vital role. These cells are responsible for regeneration, replacing old or damaged cells with new ones. Over time, stem cell function naturally declines, but diet can influence how rapidly this happens. Certain foods protect stem cell niches from oxidative stress and inflammation, preserving their ability to repair tissues. When these systems remain active, healing continues efficiently well into older age. The gut is another command center for longevity. Trillions of microbes live there, interacting constantly with the immune system and influencing inflammation, metabolism, and even brain health. Daily food choices shape this microbial community. Whole, fiber-rich foods encourage beneficial bacteria that produce compounds supporting immune regulation and cellular health. Highly processed foods disrupt this balance, weakening defenses and increasing systemic inflammation. What makes daily food choices so powerful is consistency. The body responds far more to repeated signals than to occasional extremes. A single healthy meal cannot undo weeks of poor choices, just as one indulgent meal will not erase months of supportive eating. Longevity emerges from patterns, not perfection. When the body repeatedly receives signals that favor repair, it adapts by strengthening those pathways. Importantly, these defense systems work best preventively. They are most effective long before disease appears. Waiting until symptoms develop is like calling firefighters after the building has already collapsed. Feeding the body properly keeps these systems active and prepared, reducing the likelihood that serious problems will develop in the first place. Living longer is not about forcing the body to survive against its will. It is about cooperating with its design. The human body evolved with the expectation of certain nutrients arriving regularly. When those expectations are met, repair systems remain engaged, inflammation stays controlled, and resilience becomes the default state. Longevity, in this sense, is not a mystery or a miracle, but the natural outcome of consistently activating the body's built-in ability to protect and renew itself. Everyday foods carry far more power than most people realize because they act as biological messengers, constantly communicating with the body at a cellular level. Aging is not just a matter of time passing, it is the result of millions of microscopic decisions happening inside your body each day. These decisions are shaped by signals, and many of the strongest signals come from what you eat repeatedly. Simple foods, often dismissed as ordinary or boring, contain natural compounds that interact directly with your genes, your immune cells, and your metabolism, guiding how your body responds to stress, damage, and repair. Within each cell are pathways that function like switches. Some switches promote inflammation, oxidative stress, and tissue breakdown. Others activate repair, detoxification, and regeneration. The food you eat determines which of these switches are turned on more often. Whole foods contain bioactive compounds such as polyphenols, flavonoids, carotenoids, and sulfur-containing molecules that bind to receptors and enzymes inside cells. These interactions influence gene expression without altering DNA itself, a process known as epigenetic signaling. Through this mechanism, food tells your cells how to behave. One of the most important targets of these signals is inflammation. Chronic inflammation is a major driver of aging and nearly every age-related disease. Highly processed foods amplify inflammatory pathways by spiking blood sugar, damaging gut bacteria, and increasing oxidative stress. In contrast, many everyday foods naturally suppress excessive inflammation. They encourage immune cells to respond with precision rather than aggression, reducing collateral damage to healthy tissue. This quiet regulation allows the body to focus on maintenance instead of constant defense. Oxidative stress is another process heavily influenced by daily food choices. Normal metabolism produces free radicals that can damage proteins, fats, and DNA. The body relies on antioxidants to neutralize these molecules before harm occurs. While the body produces some antioxidants internally, it depends heavily on dietary sources to maintain balance. Fruits, vegetables, herbs, and whole plant foods supply a diverse range of antioxidant compounds that work together, protecting cells in ways isolated supplements cannot replicate. Mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside cells, are also highly responsive to dietary signals. As mitochondria become damaged or inefficient, fatigue increases and tissues age faster. Certain food compounds support mitochondrial function by improving energy efficiency and reducing internal oxidative damage. When mitochondria function well, cells have the energy needed to repair themselves, maintain structure, and communicate effectively with neighboring cells. Blood vessels are another major recipient of food-based signaling. The inner lining of blood vessels responds to nutrients by adjusting blood flow, elasticity, and clotting behavior. Diets rich in whole foods promote nitric oxide production, which helps blood vessels relax and deliver oxygen more efficiently. This improves circulation to the brain, muscles, and organs, supporting both physical endurance and cognitive health as the years advance. The gut microbiome translates food signals into powerful chemical messages that travel throughout the body. Beneficial gut bacteria break down dietary fibers and polyphenols into short-chain fatty acids and other metabolites that reduce inflammation and support immune tolerance. These compounds influence hormone balance, blood sugar control, and even brain signaling. When daily food choices nourish beneficial microbes, the entire system shifts toward resilience and longevity. What makes these signals so effective is repetition. The body adapts to what it experiences most often. Eating supportive foods occasionally creates brief positive effects, but eating them daily rewires biological expectations. Gene expression patterns shift. Inflammatory markers stabilize, repair pathways become more efficient. Over time, the body operates in a state that favors preservation rather than decline. A common misconception is that powerful health effects require extreme or exotic interventions. In reality, the body responds best to familiar, consistent inputs. Foods that have been part of human diets for generations contain combinations of compounds the body recognizes and utilizes effectively. Their impact is subtle in the moment, but profound over decades. Aging accelerates when the body is repeatedly exposed to signals of scarcity, toxicity, or excess. Aging slows when the body receives signals of nourishment, balance, and safety. Every meal reinforces one message or the other. The remarkable truth is that ordinary foods, eaten consistently, have the ability to guide the body toward long-term stability, strength, and adaptability by shaping the microscopic conversations that determine how fast or how well you age. Chronic inflammation and oxidative stress are often invisible, but they quietly shape how fast the body ages and how vulnerable it becomes to disease. Inflammation is meant to be a short-term defense, a controlled response that helps the body heal after injury or infection. The problem begins when this response never fully turns off. Modern lifestyles, especially modern diets, keep inflammatory pathways constantly activated, creating a background level of damage that accumulates over time. This state does not cause immediate pain or obvious symptoms, which is why it is so easily ignored, but its effects reach every tissue and organ. Oxidative stress works hand in hand with chronic inflammation. Normal cellular processes produce unstable molecules called free radicals. In a healthy system, these molecules are neutralized efficiently. When free radicals overwhelm the body's defenses, they damage cell membranes, proteins, and DNA. This damage disrupts communication between cells and forces the body to divert energy toward emergency repairs instead of long-term maintenance. Over years, this imbalance accelerates aging at the most fundamental level. Diet plays a central role in determining whether inflammation and oxidative stress remain controlled or spiral out of balance. Ultra-processed foods flood the body with refined sugars, damaged fats, and artificial additives. These substances provoke sharp blood sugar spikes, disrupt insulin signaling, and generate excessive free radicals. They also interfere with gut bacteria, weakening one of the body's most important regulators of inflammation. When these foods are eaten regularly, the immune system remains on constant alert, mistaking dietary stress for ongoing threat. Whole foods act in the opposite way. They contain complex structures and natural compounds that slow digestion, stabilize blood sugar, and reduce metabolic stress. Fiber feeds beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn produce anti-inflammatory compounds that travel through the bloodstream. Natural antioxidants found in plants neutralize free radicals before they can cause widespread damage. These compounds do not work in isolation. They function as networks supporting each other and reinforcing the body's own protective systems. One of the most damaging effects of chronic inflammation is its impact on blood vessels. Inflamed blood vessels become stiff and narrow, reducing circulation and increasing blood pressure. This limits oxygen delivery to tissues and places additional strain on the heart. Over time, this contributes to cardiovascular disease, cognitive decline, and reduced physical endurance. Foods rich in anti-inflammatory compounds help preserve the flexibility of blood vessels, supporting smooth blood flow and protecting organs that rely on constant oxygen supply. The brain is particularly sensitive to oxidative stress. Neurons require high energy and have limited ability to regenerate. When oxidative damage accumulates, cognitive function begins to decline. Chronic inflammation can also disrupt communication between brain cells, affecting memory, focus, and mood. Diets that emphasize whole foods help protect neural tissue by reducing inflammatory signals and supporting the brain's natural antioxidant defenses. Inflammation also interferes with hormone balance. Insulin resistance, a common consequence of chronic inflammation, disrupts energy metabolism and accelerates aging. Stress hormones remain elevated, further increasing oxidative damage. Whole foods help restore hormonal balance by stabilizing blood sugar and reducing inflammatory triggers, allowing the endocrine system to function with greater precision. The immune system suffers when inflammation becomes chronic. Instead of responding selectively, immune cells become overactive and less accurate. This increases the risk of autoimmune reactions while weakening the body's ability to detect real threats. Anti-inflammatory foods help recalibrate immune responses, promoting tolerance where needed and defense where appropriate. Perhaps the most important insight is that inflammation and oxidative stress are not inevitable consequences of aging. They are highly responsive to daily inputs. Small, repeated dietary choices determine whether the body exists in a state of quiet repair or constant alarm. Each meal either adds to the inflammatory burden or helps relieve it. When whole foods replace highly processed ones, the body receives signals of safety and nourishment. Repair pathways regain priority. Energy is redirected toward maintenance rather than damage control. Over time, this shift slows the biological processes that drive aging, preserving function, strength, and resilience long before disease has a chance to take hold. Nutrition has a direct and measurable influence on immune balance, blood vessel integrity, and the body's ability to repair DNA, all of which are central to how well a person ages. These systems are deeply interconnected, and food acts as a unifying signal that coordinates their behavior. Rather than working independently, immune system, circulatory system, and genetic repair mechanisms constantly communicate with each other, responding to the nutritional environment created by daily eating habits. The immune system depends on nutrients to function with precision. Immune cells require specific vitamins, minerals, and bioactive compounds to identify threats accurately and resolve inflammation once a threat has passed. When the diet lacks these components, immune responses become exaggerated or misdirected. This leads to persistent inflammation, which damages tissues and drains energy. Whole foods provide a complex matrix of nutrients that support immune tolerance, allowing the system to remain vigilant without being destructive. Blood vessels are lined with delicate cells that respond rapidly to nutritional signals. These cells regulate blood flow, clotting, and vessel flexibility. Diets high in refined sugars and unhealthy fats damage this lining, triggering inflammation and reducing nitric oxide production. As a result, blood vessels stiffen and narrow, impairing circulation. Foods rich in natural antioxidants and plant compounds protect the vessel lining, maintaining elasticity and efficient oxygen delivery to tissue throughout the body. Efficient circulation is essential for immune function. Immune cells travel through the bloodstream to reach sites of injury or infection. When blood flow is compromised, immune surveillance weakens. Nutrients that support vascular health indirectly enhance immune effectiveness by ensuring cells and signaling molecules can move freely. This synergy highlights why cardiovascular health and immune resilience are inseparable. DNA repair is another critical process influenced by nutrition. Every cell in the body experiences DNA damage daily from normal metabolism and environmental exposure. The body relies on repair enzymes to correct these errors and maintain genetic stability. Certain nutrients act as cofactors for these enzymes, improving their ability to locate and fix damage. Without adequate support, errors accumulate, increasing the risk of cellular dysfunction and age-related disease. Inflammation plays a central role in disrupting DNA repair. Chronic inflammatory signals interfere with repair mechanisms, allowing damage to persist. By reducing inflammation, supportive foods create an internal environment where repair processes can function efficiently. This protective effect extends beyond individual cells, influencing tissue integrity and organ performance. The relationship between nutrition and blood vessels also affects DNA health. Poor circulation limits nutrient delivery and waste removal at the cellular level. When cells are deprived of oxygen and essential compounds, oxidative stress increases, placing additional strain on DNA repair systems. By supporting vascular health, nutrition ensures that cells receive the resources needed to maintain genetic integrity. The immune system's role in cancer surveillance further illustrates the importance of nutrition. Specialized immune cells identify and eliminate abnormal cells before they can multiply. This process depends on immune accuracy and energy availability. Diets that support immune balance enhance this surveillance, reducing the likelihood that damaged cells will escape detection. What makes nutrition uniquely powerful is its cumulative effect. These systems do not respond to single meals but to patterns repeated over time. Consistent intake of supportive foods reinforces protective pathways, while repeated exposure to damaging foods gradually erodes them. Over years, these small daily influences shape how efficiently the immune system responds, how flexible blood vessels remain, and how reliably DNA repair mechanisms operate. Aging is often described as a loss of control, but from a biological perspective, it is largely a shift in regulation. Nutrition helps maintain that regulation by providing steady signals of nourishment and stability. When the body receives these signals regularly, coordination between immune balance, vascular health, and genetic repair remains intact, preserving function and resilience. As time advances, consistency is the most underestimated factor in longevity because the body responds not to what happens occasionally, but to what happens repeatedly. Human biology is shaped by patterns. Cells adapt to the signals they receive most often, adjusting gene expression, metabolic pathways, and repair mechanisms based on expectation rather than exception. This is why dramatic, short-term dietary changes rarely produce lasting results. While simple habits practiced daily can reshape health over decades, every system in the body operates on feedback loops. When a particular signal appears again and again, the body reinforces the pathways associated with that signal. Consistently eating nutrient-dense foods tells the body that resources are available and that repair and maintenance are a priority. In response, the body becomes more efficient at processes like inflammation control, immune surveillance, and cellular renewal. When unhealthy foods dominate daily intake, the opposite adaptation occurs, shifting the body toward storage, stress response, and damage control. Longevity is often misunderstood as a product of intensity as if health improves through extreme efforts or perfect behavior. In reality, the body is far more responsive to moderate inputs delivered consistently. Occasional healthy meals cannot counteract weeks of inflammatory eating, just as occasional indulgences do not erase months of supportive habits. The biological memory of repeated exposure is far stronger than the impact of isolated events. Hormonal regulation is a clear example of this principle. Blood sugar balance depends on predictable, steady inputs. When refined sugars and ultra-processed foods appear regularly, insulin signaling becomes strained, leading to resistance and metabolic dysfunction. When whole foods are eaten consistently, blood sugar fluctuations stabilize, reducing stress on the endocrine system. Over time, this stability protects organs, preserves energy, and slows metabolic aging. The immune system also relies on consistency. Immune cells are trained by their environment. Repeated exposure to inflammatory triggers teaches the immune system to remain on high alert, increasing the risk of chronic inflammation and autoimmune reactions. Consistent intake of anti-inflammatory foods teaches immune cells to respond calmly and accurately. This training effect does not occur overnight. It develops gradually as the immune system learns what to expect. The gut microbiome may be the strongest example of why consistency matters more than perfection. Gut bacteria thrive on regularity. When fiber-rich, whole foods arrive daily, beneficial microbes flourish and produce compounds that support immune balance and reduce inflammation. When the diet is unpredictable or dominated by processed foods, microbial diversity declines. Occasional healthy meals cannot sustain beneficial bacteria if they are followed by long stretches of poor nutrition. Cellular repair mechanisms also depend on repeated support. DNA, repair enzymes, antioxidant systems, and mitochondrial maintenance pathways require steady nutrient availability. When these nutrients arrive sporadically, repair becomes inconsistent. When they arrive daily, repair becomes the norm. This steady maintenance slows the accumulation of cellular damage that drives aging. Psychologically, consistency reduces stress. Extreme dietary rules create cycles of restriction and guilt, which elevate stress hormones that accelerate aging. Sustainable habits practiced daily reduce decision fatigue and support emotional balance. Lower stress levels further reduce inflammation and oxidative damage, reinforcing the physical benefits of consistent nutrition. Another overlooked aspect of consistency is timing. Regular eating patterns help synchronize circadian rhythms, which regulate hormone release, metabolism, and cellular repair. Disrupted rhythms increase inflammation and impair immune function. Consistent routines support biological clocks that optimize repair during rest and activity during the day. Longevity is not achieved through isolated moments of discipline, but through a lifestyle that becomes automatic. When healthy choices are repeated daily, they require less effort and produce greater biological impact. Over time, the body aligns with these habits, strengthening protective systems and preserving function. The most powerful longevity strategy is not perfection, but persistence. Small, repeated actions accumulate into profound biological change. When nutrition supports the body day after day, year after year, it quietly shapes a physiology that resists disease, maintains strength, and adapts gracefully to the passage of time.